I was absolutely shocked to the core by the result. I truly had not expected that the country would vote to leave the EU. When I heard the result, I was absolutely devastated. I couldn't quite believe it, and there was a mixture of emotions, apart from this shock, but also I felt ashamed. I felt ashamed that our country had voted what seemed to me to be on the basis of not welcoming foreign people or immigration or being part of a broader European family, which I had actually always thought was really important. Well, the story this week of words written on a piece of paper outside number 10, apparently from a meeting discussing the Brexit situation, didn't really surprise me, to be honest. We've known that Boris Johnson has said before, we want to have our cake and eat it. I don't believe that's possible, but that seems to be part of a strategy, perhaps. There was lots on that paper that suggested to me or confirmed to me, if it is true, but of course we don't know this reliability of what was on that piece of paper in terms of how it reflects what the government is thinking. But it does really confirm and certainly suggest that the government still doesn't quite know what it's doing, where we're heading, what's going to happen next, and how this is all going to play out. I understand that we are hoping that this will all work out well for us, and we can say we want to have our cake and we want to eat it, and we can say we're going to get a brilliant deal for Britain, but in a way that's not in our hands. Once we trigger Article 50, then it is the 27 other countries of the EU who pretty much will dictate the terms on which we leave, if there are any terms. And in fact, there is clearly a serious likelihood that we will leave without an agreement, and we will then be on the WTO terms, because 27 other countries have to come forward with a proposal that meets our needs and requirements, but also presumably meets their own, because these other countries are not going to do something that will damage themselves, or presumably not want to do anything that would damage the wider European community. I think the best one word to describe how I feel now is probably the word devastated. There are lots of other feelings that I have in relation to the whole Brexit situation, but I am truly, truly worried that we don't know where we're heading. We don't know what the implications are. I do believe that we have a really good deal within Europe. Europe has got terrible problems. That is unquestionable. But I think leaving Europe is not likely to make Europe's problems better, nor indeed do I believe it's likely to make Britain's problems better. Britain has problems too. We need to sort those out ourselves. We still will need to sort those out whether or not we stay or leave. And having left the EU, I do fear that Europe itself is more likely to fracture. And global peace, European peace, the ability of European countries to live together without war, for me, was a very, very important part of the reason for not trying to rock the EU boat. Unfortunately, we have taken the decision to leave. I entirely respect what the British people have said. They have decided they don't like the EU and don't want to be part of it. But I do think that we need to understand what they want instead before we go ahead and take some kind of irreversible moves, because we could go in a number of different directions. At the moment, we've decided, if you like, to emigrate from the EU. We've decided we don't want to have that country anymore. A responsible government surely needs to know, first of all, what was the really major reason why so many people decided they didn't want to stay in Europe. And there are a large number of reasons. We don't know which one was prevalent. And I think we need to know that. And then we need to know, what is it we would like from the new country or arrangement that we are going to be in future? And again, that will determine the direction of travel. Is the problem too much immigration? Is the problem not wanting to be part of the single market? Is the problem not wanting to be part of the European courts? All of those things are probably bound up in the decision to leave. But there was also an element that said we would have a lot more money to spend in the UK if we were to leave Europe. Now, I don't believe that's true. I never believed it was true before. And I think it is becoming increasingly clear that we will not have a lot more money as a result of leaving Europe. We may, in fact, have less money. Is that what the British people really voted for? I think that we need to be very careful to know which direction we're heading in, what the cost of that journey is going to be, what the likely destination is, who will take us in at the end. But once we've triggered Article 50, then that's not in our hands anymore. We don't have an opportunity to decide where we're heading. We're just in a boat and somebody else is going to be deciding where we end up.